Hello and welcome to Cash Prairie and a hike into the William O. Douglas Wilderness near Rimrock Lake between Yakima, Washington and White Pass. This is the eastern side of the crest of the Cascades. There's a familiar landmark, Mount Rainier, and if we pan a little bit to the south, Goat Rock's Wilderness and Mount Adams. So the area that we're going to enjoy today is hiking out into this forecountry here to Shell Rock Peak and to look at some deposits from ghost volcanoes, places where cones used to stand but no longer do. Thanks for joining us. Let's get started. Thank you. Couple quick things. We're hiking today through the guts of some old cones. So we're in the Cascades, but we're in places where cones used to stand, but they no longer do. These rocks of the foreground are part of that story. And a cone that's half as big as it used to be, because it died 500,000 years ago, Goat Rock's Wilderness, is over there. I think we'll get some better views. You can barely see Adams, which is a present cone, of course. But looking down into the Rimrock Lake area, there's something called the Rimrock Inlier, which is one of the rare postage stamps from exotic terrain time. So just in this little area, amongst all the Cascade volcano deposits, which are here between 30 and 20 million years ago, there is some Mesozoic rock that's older than 100 million years. I know hardly anything about the Rimrock Inlier. That'll be another one of these little episodes coming soon. But today we're not doing exotic terrains. We're thinking Cascades all the way. Some sort of mint. I don't know anything about it. Volcanic rocks like this predominate here. This looks to be an old rhyolite. There are welded tuffs, there are ash flow tuffs, there are ashy deposits, there are pumice-rich deposits, and it goes from ridge to ridge to ridge. This has all been carefully studied by a geologist named Paul Hammond from Portland State University. You're looking north right now, and if I zoom for you, you might see something familiar. Come on, baby. Way there. the Stewart Range. That's where we came from this morning, at the base of the Stewarts, Ellensburg, right over there. So it took us about an hour and a half to drive to the trailhead here. So there's exotic terrain over there. I know that's still kind of on my brain. Exotic terrain over there. Exotic terrain down low here, but otherwise, this is young Cascade Story. And you're like, hey, I tuned into a geology video. Aren't you going to tell me the exact age, the exact formations, the specifics of these units? I'd love to, but I'm just doing a day hike and talking about some general geology, so I don't know. I did find a master's thesis from Western Washington University. A young gal, can't remember her name at the moment. Well, I guess she's my age. We were both doing master's thesis at the same time. Me over in Idaho and she in Bellingham, but this was her field area. And if you want to find it, I think it is a master's thesis on the Timberwolf Mountain Quadrangle or something like that. Sorry, I forgot to look up her name. But I just glanced and kind of paged through it last night and got the gist that there's a lot of Ohanapekosh and Natchez Formation here, which to me is a whole group of rocks talking about where Cascade volcanoes used to stand. In the Cascades, no cones here anymore. This is our trail today if you're wanting to come out. Haven't seen a soul yet, which is notable. It seems like every other trail's totally jammed. But here we are on a Friday, late morning. Only 2 cars at the parking lot, haven't seen anybody. And yet the scenery is pretty dang great. So there's what a cone looks like. A stratovolcano looks like in the Pacific Northwest. That's Mount Rainier. You're looking at it from the southeastern side. You're looking northwest, and we are to the southeast of Rainier. Okay? Now, if we swing due west and then a little bit southwest, what do we have? 2 more cones, one of them active and one of them dead. Adams, almost as big as Rainier. Not as good of a view, of course. But the real reason to stop here and to zoom just a touch is to show you Adams and Goat Rock's volcano side by side. What's the story? Goat Rocks used to be a cone. Think of it similar to this, or if you want, similar to, that. But 500,000 years ago, 500,000 years ago, and this is work done by Darrell Gussey, Paul Hammond, and others. 500,000 years ago, the Goat Rocks volcano stops erupting, and that cone has been crumbling away, honestly, just crumbling away. Now, this is during the Ice Age. The last 500,000 years has had multiple advances of ice, advancing and retreating away from that area. And so glacial erosion is part of the crumbling. River erosion is part of the crumbling. Tectonic uplift in the Cascades. Liz is sneezing. Tectonic uplift is also driving the erosion. But the point is, that cone is still active, which means Adams will be erupting at some point in the future, possibly soon. Goat Rocks volcano erupted thousands and thousands of times when it was alive and active and cone-shaped between 2.5 and 0.5 million years ago, but it's stone cold dead now and will continue to wear away until we have nothing left. In your life, well, you're like, well, what does it look like when there's nothing left? And the answer is what we're hiking through today. The rocks are still here. It's just the very basement of the volcano, or even the throat of the volcano, or even the neck of the volcano down below it. That's the concept of a ghost volcano. A new what? Band director. Oh, you're checking your phone? How many bars up here? Okay. So to replace Noreen at the middle school? Oh wait, what? It's better and better. If you're familiar with the concept of ghost volcanoes, this is the kind of terrain we're talking about, with the kind of old volcanic rocks that are the bones of those old cones. Kind of like that. Might have to keep that. So it takes some imagination sometime to be out here carefully studying all these volcanic rocks from 25 million years old, and then picturing a cone. Sometimes you'd be faced to do that sort of visualizing without any sort of modern reference. But in this situation, we do have a modern reference. Mount Rainier. These are all day hikes from Ellensburg. And one of the things I'm enjoying doing here with these short videos is to show you the variety of scenery and geology within an hour or two drive of Ellensburg. We're very thankful to be living in a place like this. And hopefully you're very thankful to be living in a place where you are. Occasionally I'll have old friends from long ago say, Ellensburg? Why would you be in Ellensburg? That's a dinky little town. Like, well, it is a dinky little town, that's right. And it's hard to convince them about the uniqueness of the location. This is an area I don't know that well, the William Douglas Wilderness, but there's absolutely amazing trails here. Pretty easy to get to. Still haven't seen anybody. haven't had any insects so far today. Can you hear the buzz here? Grand Central Station. Bluebird. That's another bluebird. This is a nice little oasis here. Well, let's see what's over this ridgeline, shall we? We've had a bunch of haze lately, some wildfires in central Washington. But we had high winds yesterday, which just blew that stuff all out. That blew that haze right out of here. And so the skies are particularly freshly scrubbed. And the smells are pretty great too. Yeah, let's give you a view back to the east. Bethel Ridge will come into view. We parked at Cash Prairie, the trailhead, kind of in there. Still see a little bit of haze, I guess. We're over 6,000 feet elevation. I'm feeling it a little bit today. Well, there's a familiar friend. I think I want to do a little geology right here. Are you okay with that? All right. This is some pretty good looking rhyolite here, so let me get my pack off and show you a couple things. You hear the grasshoppers maybe? Rhyolite. Lots of phenocrysts in this stuff. Lots of little crystals in this stuff. Even some cleavage planes on the minerals. Well, there's a real grab bag of volcanic deposits here. Some real frothy, pumiceous stuff, meaning there's a lot of holes. It's almost like pumice. But if I can get close and personal with this and keep it in focus, there's a bunch of lithics, meaning little pieces of rock that got, previously existing rock that got swept up in this explosion or this eruption. Well, thanks for joining us today, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that little episode on ghost volcanoes here in the William O. Douglas Wilderness between Yakima and White Pass. Thanks for joining us. I love you. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.